you give them opportunities for growth, you recognize their efforts, you have clear goals and they hit those goals and they're rewarded for it, they're going to grow into great leaders and they're going to cultivate other great leaders and your business will continue to grow. So you'll just be able to provide more and more people with that opportunity. Welcome to the Spinoso Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Spinoso. My expertise is in scaling all types of medical businesses to 7, 8, and even 9 figures. And it's not a podcast telling you you should do this. I'm just telling you how I did this. I want to help you build your business, take ownership of your life, and be a better leader at home and at work. Almost fucked that up. Here we go. And if you'd like to connect with me, guys, you could always check out my website, dralexspinoso.com. You can go to my Instagram, Dr. Alex Spinoso. And thanks for listening. So let's get into it today, guys. Today, we're going to talk about developing your top contributors, developing people inside your business and really growing your business. And that's the one thing that I would say is you have to realize the most important thing in your business. Obviously, providing the best service that you possibly can and the best product that you possibly can and everything. Yeah, I get it, yada, yada, yada. But people are the most important thing in your company
Mhm.
by and far, right behind your product and your service. People is what drives everything.
Yeah, 100%. I was at a mastermind speaking this weekend. I was on a panel and they were asking different questions and we would answer. And one of the questions was, if you were to buy a business, what are the first three things that you would do to make sure you could scale that business and create success with it? And I'm on the panel with three guys and they're all marketing, numbers, data, all the details of the business. And
Yeah.
I'm like, number one thing is you have to learn the people, understand them, know that, help them feel valued, respected, understood. Because if you purchase a company, there's a lot of like, am I safe in this position? You get new ownership, new
Right.
leadership. There's a lot of fear that can come with that. And it's like you have to first get into the people so that you get that commitment from them to stick it through all the changes that are going to happen and really be able to grow and scale a business.
Yeah, I saw you. I saw you actually post that when somebody had recorded you on that, and
Yeah.
that's extremely important. A lot of people don't realize that PE or VC money, they expect a 25% turnover rate when they acquire a company, and if
Mm.
you can make sure that that company is way higher or the turnover rate is way lower, is what I mean when you do acquire them, then that company is way more valuable, and vice versa. If you're going to sell your company and you know that everybody's down to continue and to be on board and to grow with you afterwards, your company is going to be
Mhm.
more valuable as you grow.
Yeah. So good. It all starts with people. Of course, great product and service. Um, but to create a company culture that really embodies trust and safety is where you start to get that commitment over compliance. And I think there's a misconception that employees don't care or that you don't have people that are motivated, let's say, to see the company grow. And I think that depends on how you hire somebody and whether or not they're aligned with your core values. Um, but having that right support for the employees so that they can really contribute to the overall success of the company is an important part of our conversation today. And it means that people aren't afraid to make suggestions and they aren't afraid to put their voice out there. They feel safe. So we just did Amazing Workplace survey where we rated very high on the safety level. How safe do our employees feel coming to leadership, bringing up issues, making suggestions? And, when it comes to what we've been able to build there, what do you feel like was a really key component for creating that type of environment for our employees?
One of the things as a leader you need to focus on is realizing that people can lead up. And so having the opportunities to lead up, as Brent and I have become more removed from the front lines, from seeing the clients or greeting the clients when they walk in the door, is making sure that the staff knows that if they bring things up to us, we're going to listen to them and act on it because we aren't big enough to say, well, we're not going to listen to you because we know best. The staff knows best because they're the ones who are taking care of the clients every single day. So we're going to listen to our teammates when they have suggestions on clinic flow and things like that. Now, on the opposite side, because we did those jobs, we can also tell when they're full of shit or when that's not true or that's incorrect when they're bringing us something, and we can call them out on it, making sure as a leader you have done every job. Obviously, the ones that require a degree and you don't have the degree, don't be doing those jobs. But if you're doing every single job in the business or know what every single job in the business entails as a leader, you're going to be able to have discussions with every single one of your staff members, make sure that they have everything that they need to really function at the highest level that they possibly can. And again, like you said, if somebody's going to bring up stuff to you, you don't go psycho and say, "Well, no, that's bullshit," or "That doesn't work," or "No, I don't think that's terrible." It's like at some point your employees have to have a couple good ideas. And if none of their ideas ever hit, you either hired wrong because you got really dumb fucking employees, you trained wrong, which is again a you problem as a leader, or again, or you don't have like a good culture or things that your staff knows this is the direction we're going in. So I'm going to suggest something that puts us on that pathway or in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah, safety is so important. And we have something else that we have that I think really helps people feel safe and heard is our work chat. There's an ideas board where they can go in and share ideas with the whole organization, and people come in, other people from the company come in and like, "Oh, I love that." And they get edified. And so whether or not all of those ideas make it to like launch, but it's just if you have an idea, you get celebrated for even having the idea. And it kind of reminds me of the story of the woman who started Spanx. Her father would ask her every day, like, "What did you fail at?" And Sarah Blakely, and she would be like, "Did I say that right? Is it Blakely? No, I'm
Hmm.
thinking of isn't the actress Sarah Blakely?
That's Blake Lively.
Oh, that's a really yeah, okay, so I got those mixed up. Anyway, um, not Blake Lively, Sarah Blakely.
Yeah.
Her father would ask her, "What'd you fail at?" Like, and gave her a space to like express what she didn't do well that day. But he created safety for her. And that built confidence for her to keep moving forward and make decisions and look at where she's at today. And so it's like even if the ideas that they have don't land, they get celebrated for the fact that they're even trying. And I think that that's super important. When it
Well, I
comes,
think
Mhm.
on that as well. Um, Kanye West has a great quote on that where his mother taught him how to fail every single day and just consistently failing and consistently trying, and failure was like what she brought him up to consistently push the envelope so that he was failing all the time. So when failure happened as he got older, he was just learning lessons.
Mm,
It's huge when it comes to your kids. It's huge when it comes to stuff like that. So when you're talking to your children as well, like, are you encouraging them to I guess not encouraging them to fail, but are you encouraging them to try? And if they do
try.
fail, not being like, well, you're a fucking idiot or you shouldn't do that or you shouldn't try. It's like, okay, that's okay. We're gonna fail. Let's get back up and let's push again.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the other studies I've seen, in regards to kids, but I think this really works with employees as well, is you don't say like, "You're so smart." It's like you tell your kids, "I appreciate your effort," or "I respect your effort." So if they put the effort in to try something, it's like calling out the effort that was used and not necessarily, "You're so smart." The result is, you got 100% on your test or an A on your test. Because if they feel like they aren't smart enough to get that top grade, then they aren't going to try. But if you've constantly edified the effort, then they will constantly keep trying. And I think that we do that really well within our company. Um, when it comes to, building up top contributors with Genesis, there's uh, definitely an aspect of providing opportunity and skill development. And I'd say this comes from the top down. So, what kind of insights do you have as far as like your development process? What has got you here that you are now using with our teams and within the organization to help foster that same kind of growth within the company?
One of the key aspects that I use for the growth of the company is actually a key aspect that was taught to me by a mentor of mine, Andy Frisella. And it was that you always want to be known and seen as the leader in your company when you're coming up with new ideas or new solutions or personal development, things like that. And he said something, and it's interesting because I didn't really think of it that way. I'm a came from medical school, researcher, go out and find things myself. Is that if you consistently tell your staff to read this book or do this thing or and push the knowledge away from you,
Mm,
then they're going to think that you're an idiot and you don't really have the knowledge that they need. But if you're the one that's reading that knowledge and then interpreting that knowledge and then posting about that knowledge and passing that knowledge on, and it looks like you are the one who is consistently coming up with these ideas, then they're going to believe that you're the leader more. And as a result of that,
mm,
you are going to become a better leader.
mhm,
So when it comes to specifically this and ways to build leaders is that's kind of what I tell my leaders as well is that a lot of times try not to push them towards reading a book or push them towards reading something that is not theirs or not yours or seemingly yours as a leader. Pull that in, word it in a way that you think is going to resonate with them in a way that follows your core values, and then present it so that it's coming from you as a leader and as a business. And that's what we also have
mhm,
with our Genesis University. A lot of that stuff we took from other things, made it our own, and then built it out or put it out as if we are the ones that developed it. And there's nothing new. It's not, good artists copy and great artists steal. There's nothing new out there. There's nothing new on mindset. There's nothing new on, uh, you know, what is healthy and what's not healthy and all that stuff. That's always been there forever. It's just people will listen to it in different ways. And I think that's one of the ways that um, I think I've really been able to speak to the staff and build leadership is that Brent and I always, when we have ideas and we have things, we present it as like this is how we're gonna do it, which might be different than the way we took it in, but the way it comes out is kind of how we're building our leadership, we're growing the company, and this is the ideas that we have going forward.
mm. I like that.
Hmm.
I like that. Yeah. I mean, it's gotta fit our culture, and so being able to repackage it to fit the culture just really makes a ton of sense. I love that. We've experienced a lot of growth with Genesis, and one of the aspects to becoming a great leader is being able to take on new roles and new identities and really develop within the company. How do you present opportunities that are possible, but not overwhelm people with maybe the process or overwhelm people with too much that could maybe take away from their excitement with the company?
Well, what do you think? How do you think we do it? Where because we have a lot. How do you think we do it that helps them not be overwhelmed?
Well, I would say one of the biggest things going back to Genesis University is like there's 1,300 trainings in there. Uh, and they can utilize those as much as they want. So I don't think that, they don't have this like hard press every month you have to do these things. But I think they're encouraged to grow. One of our core values is growth and accountability and integrity. And it's like, if you want to grow as a leader, we are definitely a company that encourages that, but then also creating resources like Genesis University. If somebody really wants to grow, they have the opportunity to go in there and learn what they need to learn. And I think it's really something that you guys have talked about, you and Brent have talked about at all the corporate events and on our meetings, is that if somebody wants to learn something, they just got to come tell you. If they don't have access to it already, they just have to tell you guys and you'll create a way or you'll help them figure it out. Um and you do recommend books while you don't tell people go read this book. You'll recommend certain books or you say sometimes where you've learned different things. So I think the little like um subtle approach to, hey, if you want to know more about this is a great resource. But here's what I learned from it. Like
Yeah.
you got the key takeaway, but you're willing to guide them if
Yeah,
they
and,
need to.
and as a leader, I think you should be doing all those things yourself first. Go through the course that you want to send them to, read the book that you want them to read, make sure that you're pulling out the salient points or that the course is even relevant to what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish.
Which we had a fun story
Yeah,
about.
which
Yeah.
we totally have a fun story on that. Because you want to make sure that it's something that you want the messaging to be congruent with what you're trying to teach.
Yeah.
So a lot of times there are like vendors in our company that want to train our staff in certain things, or they have different business academies where the staff can go and train with them. And we've gone to those, or we've sent staff over to them and they come back with all these crazy fucking ideas that are completely wrong because it's ran by idiots.
Mm.
And so that's one of the big concerns that you have to come across is if you're going to try and give development opportunities, courses, whatever, books to your staff, don't just take somebody else's word for it. Like, this is a good course or this is a good course. You go through the course first, make sure it's what you want it to be in terms of the communication, in terms of how they're presenting the data, et cetera. And then you could send your staff through it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you shouldn't just blindly send somebody to something.
Which fun story. I have been involved in personal development courses for about 15 years and I've done several different kind. However, there's one course called Avatar, which is very spirit based. It's not a religious type of base, but it's very like connected to self and really understanding and exploring your belief systems, why you believe the things you do, things that maybe were from your past that you have a judgment on, and then you're carrying that judgment forward. And it's, you know, giving you a lens that you're perceiving the world through that maybe isn't true. And so allowing you to have flexible viewpoints. I mean, I've taken a lot out of it, but um, and I mean, I still take the course to this day. I have my master's in it, and I have some advanced courses that I take every year on integrity. But that was one because it was so life changing for me. I was like, we need to send our staff, and you were trusting me. Were like, okay, let's do it, and it wasn't a good fit.
Why? Well, why? Why wasn't it? Why wasn't it a good fit, Amanda?
Well, I think that what are we hoping to get out of it would have been the best conversation probably to start with. Because I'm going, hey, if we can work on things that are personally like creating struggle in this like that let me rephrase this. If we can work on developing these people from a personal level and reduce the amount of personal struggle that they're having,
Right.
then they will become better leaders. And I don't
Totally
necessarily
agree with that.
think you do or
I think
don't.
that I think that was good.
Oh,
No, it
you
was
do.
good. It was the what how was
It
that
was the how.
executed?
It was the how. So I will say the first week,
This is
the whole
awesome.
first weekend
Uh-huh.
is you learn 32 different tools. Now there's
Okay.
a lot of really amazing tools in this
Yeah.
32 tools.
Okay.
Like, for example, you take a walk and you start to notice things from different perspectives. And then you write down, like, okay, the leaf looked dark green from standing at this viewpoint, but light green when I stood from this viewpoint. So it starts to open you up that your viewpoint isn't always the only one that's true.
Yes.
Right. So there's a lot of things like that are great. It's like little dabbles.
Yeah, yeah.
But then there's this one
Yeah. Get to the meaty
exercise.
part. Here we go.
There's this one exercise where you it is called caring for the animal.
Mm.
And you stand naked and you look at yourself in the mirror
Mhm.
and you just love yourself
Yep.
in a non-sexual way.
Mhm.
You just extend love and gratitude to yourself.
Yeah.
So, sending a bunch of leaders from a corporate environment to stand naked in front of a mirror and tell themselves how much they love themselves didn't really connect with the
Yeah,
type
yeah,
of
yeah. No, it's
leadership.
two dudes, all right? Brent and I, the leaders, the co-founders and dual CEOs, telling a bunch of women to
Mhm.
go to this event, and then in the event they have to get naked and talk about how awesome they are to themselves in front of a mirror. Like, what did you do at work today, hun? Oh, yeah, my bosses sent me to something where I got naked in front of a mirror and talked about myself. Like,
Yeah.
how the fuck does that sound in the corporate environment?
Yeah, that
Brent
didn't
and
go
I,
over so well.
Brent and I are like, holy shit.
They're like, "We need to talk to you right now." I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
it's
no."
like we had three people call us like, I'm not quite sure you maybe knew what you were getting yourselves into with this one. I was like, well, no, we didn't. What happened? Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely was, a conversation that you're like, "Do not tell anyone else
Yeah.
in our company
Nobody is
about
fucking going to
that
this. Yeah. We,
course."
we are lucky we sent all the people who have been with us for years and they know that we
Interesting,
would
though.
never fucking do that.
I would have to say, having been through all of the courses, that is the only exercise that's like that.
Yeah.
I will have to say
It's
that.
the only one.
Everything else is pretty reasonable.
Yeah. Okay.
And I,
We'll make sure that's
go
it
go
goes back to our point. Make
go
sure you're
first.
going through it yourself as a leader before or if you have somebody else going through it or somebody else leading it, make sure they tell you every little detail about what happened so that
Yeah.
you can control the outcome. So you can say, "Yeah, I want them to learn about that," or "Hey, 50% of this is not going to help them.
Yeah.
We need to be more like 90 to 100% when we send them to something or when we have them train in something that's going to
Yeah,
help them."
and I think it helps coach them too if no matter what they're taking, if they hit something, a belief or an issue or a struggle with some sort of teaching that's going on, if you've been through it and you have a really good understanding of it, you can help guide them. Like, okay, well, here's what the goal of that exercise was, or here's what the takeaway could be. So you can help shift their perspective if they're not seeing it maybe as clear as they could be. And so there's some really valuable lessons in having gone through that, and why going through it first is a good place to start.
That's why every single female we have, I make them send me naked pictures of themselves before they're hired.
Oh God,
No.
you
going going back. Going back to that.
going back.
Yeah, it was like, oh my fucking God,
I definitely would
we
not
are
have the
going to
job.
fucking jail like
Yeah.
right now. There's we call up Amanda. We are fucked. Like, Jesus
What
Christ.
did you do
The
to us?
hell are you doing?
Well, as I've moved up in leadership, I have learned to look at things slightly different as to how could this affect the company in a good or bad way. And so, yeah, maybe a different perspective going forward. But anyway, so back to elevating and getting people to being top contributors in the company and moving people up. Recognition and appreciation, big and small, is an aspect of that. And something that you guys do is the shout outs. And what was I mean, knowing that this is new, it's not something we've done for a super long time, but what was your inspiration behind creating the shout outs? Where did that idea come from?
Well, I mean, recognition in general boosts morale. It came from when you're a little kid and people cheer for you because you shat in the toilet, sort of thing. It's great to have, um, you know, people applaud you and people cheer for you, and that is, I think, feeding into some of the human needs, the need for contribution and the need to be a part of something bigger than yourself than themselves, and everybody wants that. Everybody wants to feel like they're doing a good job. Nobody comes to work to fuck it up. Nobody comes to work to get yelled at all day long and feel like they're inferior or feel like they're not a part of something great. And so if they're appreciated and you show them that, yeah, you are appreciated, then they're going to want to do better. They're going to want to grow and expand with you. And they're going to like being at work with you and your colleagues. And again, with the amazing workplace, that was one of the big things that the managers really cultivated that through their clinics, where their staff felt like their leader appreciated them and really gave them, motivation and morale and boosted them up as much as possible. Because if you're not telling the people at the quote unquote bottom of your ladder, the new people or the people who are in the lowest position of your company, how important they are, then they're going to think that what they do is freaking useless. But if you explain to them, well, no, this is why this position is important, because if you don't say hi to the person who comes in the door and greets them with a smile, then they're not going to want to enjoy their consultation and then buy with us. If you don't put this medication properly in the box and ship it to them, well, then they're not going to get their medication and they're going to get upset. And so every little piece of a business is extremely important. And business owners need to realize that if every person in your business was to get up and walk out the door right now, you wouldn't have a business. Now, unless you're the only person working there, but with employees, with teammates, that's huge. You have to make sure that those people are happy. You have to make sure that they have opportunities to grow and be a part of a contributing society. And you have to encourage them to do so. Because if you're just consistently yelling at them and beating them down and they're never encouraged, then they're not gonna do well.
Yeah, they certainly aren't gonna be a top contributor to the company. What do you think are some meaningful, ways that people listening can show appreciation to their employees? Like, meaningful but easy ways.
I mean, I think it's very well, everybody laughs about this one and they make fun of it in corporate, like the pizza party type shit,
Mhm,
like we'll buy coffee, we'll buy lunch for staff, and so will the clinic directors. They have the ability, they have the clinic credit cards where they could buy coffee or lunch for their staff when they, doing a good job. That is on top of the other things we do. Our staff gets paid really well. Our staff has 44 different bonuses that they could get inside Genesis for different things, whether it's sales or whether it's handwritten thank you cards or whether it's Google reviews. There's a bunch of opportunity and that's uncapped. So that's all there for them to continue to grow and want to contribute. And obviously they get rewarded really well for that. Doing when you do we teach the managers to do their weekly meetings, calling somebody out and showing how they exemplify a core value, talking about our core values in all of our management meetings, and bringing up a story or two at the management level of core values and how they were exemplified and things like that. So those
mhm.
are things how you little things that you can be meaningful and intentional to show appreciation for your employees.
What about when it comes to, like, setting goals and making things achievable for somebody to elevate into being a top contributor? Like, what are ways we deal a lot with KPIs because of the EOS model and, um, just kind of rolling out more of a structured approach to people reaching goals. But how do you think that setting achievable goals and getting people to being top contributors to the company, how do you feel like those two things intersect?
Well, directly in relation to that question, there is a study for management that shows that when your staff members actually met with their managers and their managers talked about their goals on a biweekly basis, the staff members were like 47%. It was between 41 and 47% more likely to actually hit their goals or their KPIs. And when you have clear goals of, I want you to do this, and this is the end result of your position that's going to make you successful. And if you hit this, that is success or what I measure or deem as success, then they're not guessing. Because most of the time they're going to be guessing in their position what success is, and they might fill in the blanks of what they think success is or what they think, like sometimes being busy or looking busy is success to them. When it's really okay, you could look busy or be quote unquote busy filing paperwork or stuff, but that doesn't actually move the needle in what you need them to do in their position. So making sure you're really clear on, hey, in this position, this is what success looks like. In order to get there, this is what you need to do.
Have you seen specific character traits with people that you've hired that have moved up and become top contributors in a company? Have you seen certain character aspects that you're like, ah, this person, they're definitely going to be one that contributes more?
Are you like third party talking about yourself? Is that what you're trying to do? Yeah. Have you
I
seen some anybody?
anyone
Anybody?
here?
I don't know who has moved up in the company, but is there somebody that you might want to mention on this podcast? So, how did you do it?
That wasn't a roundabout question about myself,
I'm
but
sure it wasn't. I know it wasn't. But
but
so how did you exemplify that?
well, I think growth is something that I take very seriously, and I feel like it's part of my life purpose is to constantly be growing and encouraging other people to grow. Also, a desire or an excitement to learn. And I feel like those are two different things. It's like I'm always curious about what I don't know. And so there's growth, professional and personal, but then there's also this like curiosity in me that's almost like a childlike curiosity, like, "Ooh, what's that? Could I have fun doing that? What's that all about?" So I wanna know more about things, which in turn, when I know more, then I have more value to actually take on more roles, do more, be more, bring more to the company, um and then always being willing to just, like, go with the flow. Like, yeah, if you need me to do something and it's, not really what I'm getting paid to do, who cares? Like, I'm getting paid, I'll do it, I'll have fun with it, I'll learn something new, and I'll do it to the best of my ability, and I might enjoy it, and we'll see, and if I don't enjoy it, then, I'll be transparent and let you know, like, "Hey, this isn't my favorite thing to do, but, had fun doing it and learned something, so cool," along the
Yeah.
way. But I think being super easy to work with is another aspect of what maybe has got I mean, I'm guessing, I think all of these things
Yeah.
are why
Yeah.
it got me to where I'm at, but,
I think you were absolutely right in that there was a bunch of things. One, it was that there was never any job that we asked you to do that you're like, no, I can't do that, or no, I don't know about that, or it was always like, okay, yeah, I could do that. It was being the guy or the girl. Like if we asked you to do something, it was either figured out, and it wasn't like random shit. We just knew, hey, Amanda had done this before, and she's probably pretty good at it, so let's have her do it and sit in that position. So it was like, yeah, I'm willing to grow. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to do that position. It was the willingness to change positions as well. Like, okay, we need you to do this now. We need you to do this now. Okay, let's do it. That sounds like something that I could do and take care of. And so you sat in multiple different positions. And again, part of the growth, part of the contribution, you were just like, okay, yeah, I can get it done and I can do it. And then obviously the learning and the growing outside of the business as well led to it, but it was again the fact that when you break things down, it was never a, well, I can't do that because I don't have this, or I can't do that because of this. There was never any excuses of why something can't be done. It was always like, okay, yeah, we'll get it done.
yeah.
And then you make the leader's job easy or easier. You make their life easy, or you make it easier, and you're gonna make more money in your business, and you're gonna be elevated in your company. You make the boss or they make the manager's life easy, guess what? You're gonna make more fucking money.
Yeah, so find people that make your life easier. If you're a boss and you're looking for somebody who's gonna be a top contributor in your company, finding somebody that's looking to make your life easier and can, go with the flow and is willing to say yes. Like even if they don't know how to do something, being willing to say, I'll figure it out, or I'll try, I'll do my best. That is somebody to watch for. And I think it goes back to the concept of commitment over compliance. You guys aren't strong arming me saying, do this thing. It's like recently Brent on one of our calls said, "Hey, I'm kind of thinking we need to, put this together." And here's what I'm thinking about it, and what do you think? You want to do it, And it was never like, do this thing. We need, it was like, hey, this is what we need. What do you, and you know how Brent is. So it was very like, up, not, it wasn't directed like, go do this. It
Yeah.
was like, this is what we want to create.
Yeah, is what
What
we're
do you
looking to
think?
do.
Do you
This
want to
is
do it?
yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And I had a blast doing it. And it was great, but that was, my commitment to the bigger picture, the process, my commitment to you guys and the company. And it goes way further to get someone's commitment over getting their compliance, and then, being in a role where it's like you have to do this thing versus you're valued and you're heard, you're seen. And so, you're committed to the bigger picture and the vision of the company.
Right. 100%. And, when you pour into your employees like that and you show them, hey, this is what I need you to do, you're clear on their goals, and you're giving them feedback and constructive criticism or whatever, and kind of motivating them. At the same time, you're also empowering them to take ownership of really their position.
Mm.
And you want them to get to a point where, hey, this is the end result, this is the beginning, and you could figure out the middle, and making sure that you let them be. Now, if it's a procedure or something, obviously you got to teach them every single position. But for most jobs that we do, then like if they made a decision that might be a little bit different than yours, but they got to the end result, great.
Mhm.
You don't have to control every single decision in the middle as a boss and as a leader. You have to provide some sort of autonomy, and autonomy is a big part of, again, why people are very happy at their work. They're happy when they are contributing to something bigger than themselves. They know the team cares about them, and they have autonomy. They have decision making ability. Like they have their own. I would say they have it's their own choose your own adventure
Mhm.
essentially. When they have that, then that's when they go over the top when it comes to happiness.
Do you think you can move someone up the scale? Like maybe they're not like focused on contributing, but then the longer they're in the company, do you think there are certain factors as a leader that you can move somebody up the needle to being more bought in and more of a contributor to the big picture?
I think so, but I think, remember, employees and clients, they don't work for you, they work with you, and they work for themselves. So you have to provide opportunities for them to have an ownership mentality, trying to cultivate that as much as possible. In a lot of the way we cultivate that is, if you do well and you grow and you show you're invaluable, you're going to get moved up. There is a consistent ability to move it up in our company, from the front desk to MAs to being a clinic director to being a regional director to being a part owner. There's
Mhm.
just a consistent pathway of growth in our company. And when you have that, then you can stand on that and say, oh, yeah, well, if you want to have that attitude of taking ownership and being an owner, then that's at the end. That's what you have as an opportunity in our business to grow and to continue to grow into that. So you want to also push through your core values as well, where accountability is a huge part of our core values, where, hey, accountability means you are responsible for everything you're doing. You're responsible for your
Mhm.
work, and you're responsible for the team. You're responsible for, um, you know, everything that you put into the client's life. We're responsible for that. And having pride in that and providing something that changes these people's lives is a huge, huge aspect of it. And as Genesis has grown, essentially we've brought people up and moved people into management positions, and grown them from just employees to having that ownership mentality. And you've been a huge part of that, and building not only out the HR part of it, which now Sean is head of, but also building out like the trainings and building the platforms and the communication. And so what have you seen that you've done to help with this overload? Because I don't think there's really like an overload of employees that you can do unless you're trying. I don't agree with like saying that you're consistently overloading your employees by giving them extra work or by giving them jobs and stuff like that. Now there's a point that they'll break, but we've never gotten to that point I think with any employee when it comes to overload. There may be times where you feel like there's a lot to do, but at the top you will feel like there's a lot to do no matter what. And if you're
Mhm.
going to grow, you're going to scale, you're going to get uncomfortable. And so what did you develop in Genesis that really worked well? Because I mean, you developed the system that has really worked well on that.
Well, one of the things is the Genesis way. I think is one of the most important aspects that we haven't talked about a lot on the podcast that I think our listeners would get a lot of value out of. That really stemmed from different books that I've read and teachings that I've been involved in, that is understanding why you're doing something and connecting with the reverence of, w let's say, as you would say it, the destination, not the plane ride, the reverence of what happens on the other side of all of this. And so the Genesis way being embedded in a lot of the foundational paperwork with HR. So, like when they have their questionnaires that they go through for interviews, it's like you're finding out a deeper reason why people want to work there, why people want to work for you, or what drives them. And it's the same thing as creating the value with our employees as to why are we doing all of this in the first place? Why are we all showing up to move this ship forward? It's because when it comes to weight loss, it's not about the pounds on the scale. It's about the dads that can lead their families to health because they've gotten their health in order. And so they're going home and they're inspiring their whole families to get their health in order. Or husbands and wives that didn't have sexual connection and the wife doesn't feel beautiful anymore or have any sort of libido, and now she's come to us for treatment and now marriages are being restored. So it's not about the O shot. It's about what happens on the other side of this as a result of her feeling better because her hormones are balanced and her having a treatment done for sexual wellness. Now, a marriage that could have ended from these types of strains is now restored and they are happy again and their family is whole and their kids get to live in a home with both parents. I mean, it can go really granular with the type of value we create on the other side of it. I think about women that can't get on the floor and play with their babies because they're heavy and they can't get up and down, or they don't have the energy to go do things with their kids like go on a hike. And it's like, what happens when that mom loses weight? What happens with the quality time that she gets with her kids because she now feels good in her body and can move around freely? Like, that's the kind of stuff when I think about the Genesis way. That's why we're doing this. The result we're looking for because of these treatments has been outlined. It's like, this is what we want. This is why we're in business. And we create the best outcomes in age and weight management, but it's deeper than that. And that was really one of the things when it comes to the Genesis way that I think we don't often talk about, but is something we do as a company and is put in our paperwork. And so as people are reading through their HR paperwork or their onboarding paperwork and stuff, it should all be in there. So they're seeing, hey, I'm making a difference. I have a significant impact in the lives of other people. And then from that, we started with Asana, which is really like a fancy to-do list. And that's like a checklist for onboarding, but it takes them step by step. It's super easy, super simple to read, very user friendly. And then that got shifted over to Genesis University as we had more employees and we needed to scale it. Genesis University was a better place to do that. Um, but easy, accessible platforms for people make a big difference. But also we reach people on different levels. If somebody is really great at reading material and absorbing information, then we've got a lot of stuff that they can read through. If they want a lot of data, there's a lot of data in there. If somebody wants to watch a video because they're a better audio learner, then there's video links in there. So there's a little bit of everything for everyone. And I think that's really important. We have a very robust training system with a lot of things that they can dig into. I think one of the things as I'm talking through it that I think we could either do better or improve on is maybe giving them time and a task or a goal that has to do with their personal development or their growth. And so it's like every quarter, everyone is required to complete at least one training in Genesis University that they haven't already completed. Maybe one that they have completed, and then they have to review something that they're currently doing. And so maybe they review a service that they're already offering to see if there's anything new. I mean, you can read the same. That's why people read the Bible over and over because you can read it over and over and get something new every single time. So it's like, continued education, but then also give them a chance where maybe it's a few hours out of the month, where all they're supposed to do, and maybe it's paid, but paying them to learn and grow and really foster this idea of growth being an essential part of their role. Um, that's kind of something that's kind of coming to me that could be valuable where they do it at work on work time. They can't say, "Oh, the kids were screaming or the dog was
Mhm.
barking or my laundry beeper was going off and so I had to go throw the laundry in the dryer." None of those distractions. But then, maybe they share with their team at their team meetings. What for that quarter did they learn and how are they going to implement that in their job? So it makes it more intentional, so it's not just like, because I think if somebody isn't used to growth or that's not like a normal part of their thought process, that might not be a natural thing. Like, oh, I can't wait to grow. Like, I'm
Yeah.
kind of a nerd. I can't wait to read the next book or look through the next spreadsheet. But not everybody is like that. So that could be something, I think that would be valuable too is being able to offer maybe a time slot to do it, and then a win. Like, what did you get out of it? What was your key takeaways? And share that with your team so that it builds even more camaraderie in the clinics with their peers around what it is that they learned and how they're going to implement it. And, this is what I learned. And then I put it into practice right away when I had this client, and here's how. And so then people can see how it's applicable in the job setting that they're in. So
Right.
that was just kind of an extra thought there. But
No,
those are some of the things that I did.
it's actually important. 100%. There's the clarity of, the jobs and what was required. Then there was the trainings that was heavy to make sure that people understood their position and why. Then there was the examples of those two things that you talked about in the step one and step two, the clarity and the job description of okay, this is what success looks like, and then the check-ins, really making
Mhm.
sure that you're checking in, making sure they're hitting those KPIs, what those look like, etc. And that's what's really going to provide that empowerment, the ownership, and people who want to stay on board and be on your ship and continue rowing in the same direction. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm excited as we continue to grow. We reach new levels of how to take this and build up more top contributors in the company. It's really awesome to see people that come on board and continue to grow and watch their development over the years and see how much more they're bought in. I mean, I hear people in our group say like, "I'm a lifer. I'm a Genesis lifer."
Hmm.
There are people that their goal is to be with the company forever.
Yeah.
I don't know what forever looks like for somebody, but there are people, I mean, I'm not saying this on the podcast just cuz like I can't imagine doing anything else. I'm
Mm.
like, no, I'm with Genesis till Genesis doesn't want me
Yeah,
anymore. I
right.
mean, I
Well,
followed
that's
you
good.
across the country.
Right.
So, I'm not going anywhere. But I think you have to really be bought in. But it's having relationships too. Like we have a
Yeah.
great relationship that has built over time. We have the podcast, love your family
Yeah.
and Brent, and the little bit of time I get with him is always awesome.
Yeah.
And so the family network within a business really makes you want to stay and be a part
Absolutely.
of it.
You have to genuinely want your team and your staff members to succeed. And
Mhm.
when you do that, they'll trust you. You give them opportunities for growth. You recognize their efforts. You have clear goals, and they hit those goals, and they're rewarded for it. They're going to grow into great leaders, and they're going to cultivate other great leaders, and like you said, they're going to be lifers in your business and want to continue to be a part of that and want to continue to grow. And your business will continue to grow. So you'll just be able to provide more and more people with that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. I love this conversation because there are people out there that really want to go to the next level and maybe just don't know how yet, or want to have those people that are all in on their business. And this is a great podcast to learn how to do that. So, something cool and exciting that you're doing, which I'm know is going to be highly beneficial for people, is you and Vaughn are doing a medical mastermind. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I think listeners, if you want more information, you want to dive in, you want to grow, you want to scale, then you need to know about this mastermind.
Yeah, so Vaughn Kohler and I have been good friends for a long time. And for those that don't know, Vaughn is a business partner of mine. He is also a great, mindset coach, a great person who has helped me form my brand and help you,
Mhm.
form your personal brand, your personal message, keynote speeches, things like that, and helps build great culture. And he was also, co-host of the MFCEO project, the top business podcast in the United States, I think the world, for 5 years straight. A just absolute wealth of knowledge when it comes to the business world. And he met a schmuck like me, and we decided, oh hey, we should build something together. So we're starting this medical mastermind. It's called Charismatics. You can go to joincharismatics.com to find out more about it. And it's really for cash based business owners who are doing really anything in the medical field. So, cash based medical field business owners. And if you want to learn about what we just talked about, like how to build top contributors in your company, how to build a really strong culture, how to do your core values, how to, make more money essentially in your business, which is what we're talking about. I mean, this is what we built it for.
Mhm.
Again, it's a passion project. It's nothing that either of us have to do, but it's something that's going to be really fun for both of us to be able to do.
Yeah, you guys are gonna be great at it. And, I'm along for the ride if you ever need any insights
We
from a
got you.
female
We'll have the
perspective.
females in there too, for sure, as always.
That was an actual plug for myself.
Yeah,
The
there you go.
question earlier wasn't, but that was.
That was.
Just for clarity. And then for free resources, you have a ton of videos and things that people can check out on your website, dralexspinoso.com slash courses, I
Yep,
think. Yep. Okay. So that's full of tons and tons of stuff. So if you're looking for something for free to tap into or topic driven, check that out. And then your Instagram, Facebook is all Dr. Alex Spinoso.
absolutely.
That's where
Reach
they
out
can
to me,
find
guys.
you.
Here to help you as much as you possibly need it.
And as cool as you are not yet cool enough to have somebody else answering your
I'm
DMs.
not. I'm not cool enough yet. I
So
still am. I still got less than 30,000 followers. I'm at like 22.
so
I'm
you're
still poor when
so
it
they
comes to
can DM you
followers.
too.
They can DM me and I'll actually answer.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, if you're listening to this, share it. If you love it, share it, like it, no matter what, like it, subscribe, do all the things,
Yep.
because if this was valuable to you, it'll be valuable to somebody else too. And the more you engage, the better it is for us. So it's a win win.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys, for listening.